your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
The Filipino American Cancer Care now brings you On the Air with FACC, tributes and support to those impacted by cancer. On the Air with FACC, the Filipino American Cancer Care on PHLV Radio.
It's 9 o'clock in the evening here in the East Coast. Magandang gabi sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Amerika. Welcome to Filipino American Cancer Care on the Air with FACC dito po sa PHLV Radio. My name is Josie Moralidad-Ziman. Good morning sa ating mga kababayan sa Pilipinas. Siyempre kasama ko from Las Vegas. Walang iba kundi si Johan. And galing naman sa Maryland. Busog yan. Busog na busog. At saka tingnan mo naman, fresh na fresh. Walang iba kundi si Emmyrich Vicente. Hi, Emmyrich!
Hello. Good evening everyone here in United States and magandang umaga po sa inyo sa Pilipinas. It's Friday again, and we're really excited with our guests today, and also some information for our upcoming events for everyone. Really excited. Great to see you, Ate Josie.
Yes, it's nice to see you again, Emmyrich. Siyempre, kahit na may chemotherapy, ha?
Yeah.
ano pa rin siya, alive and energized siya, energetic. Please welcome Ed Logan.
Thank you, Josie. Emmyrich, miss you. So, thank you again for our listeners sa Philippines po. Magandang umaga here in the United States. Good evening. We're so excited. We're so much events going on, Josie. But I just want to, again, give us the heads up. So, August 9 to 14, we are collaborating with Unified Maryland Chapter. Unified stands for United Federation of Fil-Am Educators. So with the leadership of Malu Cadasio, our childhood cancer awareness reaching out to our next generation. It will be on August 9, Josie, with the Philippine Embassy endorsement. We will launch the Arts and Crafts on August 9. So we will feature two of our young cancer survivor ambassador, Lucia Smith, and of course, Sean Rovers, and one of our young ambassadors, Charmaine Cabatuando, who will give the instruction how to make the cards that are going to be sent to cancer survivors and patients in the Philippines, kids, and as well here in the United States. So I'm excited for that na talagang we gonna kick off that. And of course, September is a major childhood cancer awareness month campaign, Josie. Just to share to our viewers, we had a confirmation that Emily Whitfield, if you guys don't know who she was, she will be joining with her parents on the in September. It's the first immunotherapy recipient.
Wow.
University of Pennsylvania Medical Center. So we're really excited that we're gonna kick off and launch our childhood cancer advocacy campaign led by Rachel Dakanay Smith.
Yes, so you have to follow us dito po sa PHLV, sa Filipino American Cancer Care. Lahat ng mga information na yan, yung mga events namin, makikita nyo po dyan sa FACC Facebook page. Emmyrich, ano pa yung mga events natin?
Oh my gosh, we're really excited about our couture, Courage for a Cure. It's coming up. It's going to be in October 23rd, 2021 at the Filipino American Cancer Care. This is going to be held in, I forgot the hotel name now.
Weston.
The Weston Tyson's Hotel.
Corner Hotel in Leesburg Pike in Virginia. It's going to be we have a lot of special guests, especially our featuring collection from Chona Bucauco of
Bacalco,
M&M
yes.
Milano, the brand from Italy. So we're really excited because there's a lot of different diversity and inclusive designs that she created as a Filipina. A lot of models coming from different places as well. And we will have special guests, the beauty queens, Ate Josie, the beauty queens from
Yes.
Italy.
Meron tayong beauty queen from Italy, yung Miss Earth Italy, and ano siya, finally sa Miss Universe Italy. Her name is Sofia Pavan. Emmyrich, maraming hunks na darating dito
Yeah,
from Italy.
there's gonna be a lot of them.
Ano ba yan, Ed, ang pinapakita mo sa amin?
Our ticket. That's
our ticket.
Ticket. So you guys can purchase this. Just call Josie and Maggie.
Yeah, ang ating ticket po prepaid event to, katulad ng ginawa natin kay Rabia. It's $130 that will benefit our cancer patients dito sa Amerika at doon din sa Pilipinas. So, if possible, bayaran nyo bago yung event. Kasi mas madali yung accounting. Para pagdating natin doon sa venue, sayaw na lang tayo, di ba?
And saka yung ano natin, oh my gosh, mabibigatin ang ating mga mistress of ceremony.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the ladies of
Who's our master of ceremonies?
the first one, Miss Melissa Teason,
Yeah, we
breast cancer
interviewed her
survivor.
last time.
She's a breast cancer survivor and journalist. She's the widow of the late Pulitzer Prize winner journalist Alex Teason,
Yeah.
and the author of the essay "My Family's Slave."
Nabasa mo ba yan, Emmyrich?
Oh, not the whole thing.
Oh,
Not the whole
basahin mo yung
thing.
buong essay.
Oh my gosh. And then the second master ceremony is Miss Jennifer Griffin, a triple negative breast cancer survivor and Fox News national security correspondent. She's going to be in our show as well. It's going to be great.
And another thing, Emmyrich, just to add, one of our young ambassador, Miss Philadelphia, our own, she also confirmed Elaine
Ficara.
Oh my goodness.
And, ito pa yung anak ni Jennifer Griffin. Her name is Amelia. And her good friend, yung best friend niya, sasali sila as one of the models. Siyempre, si Emmyrich, gusto mo ba, Emmyrich, mag-fashion show? Ano, Ed?
Yeah.
Ano, bet tayo kay Emmyrich?
Is the clothes take home afterwards? I don't need to
Pero Emmyrich, may
return it.
deal ako sa'yo.
I don't need to return the clothes.
Usapan natin yan behind, off the air. Kailangan.
Deal
I'm
or no
serious. Serious business to Emmyrich.
deal? Oh, no.
And then, Josie, just to emphasize again, one of our beneficiaries from Arizona, Rosel Borinaga, is also joining us. We have an anonymous
Wow.
donor who sponsor her airfare so that she can join this important event. Speaking of
May
that,
mga tao talagang they really care for other cancer victims na ayaw nilang magpakilala. And we are so lucky na may mga anonymous donors tayo dito sa Amerika na mga Filipino na walang kapalit. Wala silang hinihingi. Basta ang importante, makatulong. So she's going to help Rosel na maka-travel kasi si Rosel nga amputated yung kanyang paa. And then we have that other lady, di ba? Sino ba yun, Ed?
one of the young ambassadors as well that we're going to collaborate with Zimbabwe. She's a scholar, university scholar at Columbia University. Her name is Wadzi. So she's also joining.
Wadzi.
It's just really amazing people that we will feature and honor some of our cancer loved ones who passed away and continue giving tribute. And then, by the way, we want to thank as well the Unified Arizona chapter. They did a specific fundraising for Rosel. Being a teacher, a middle school teacher, si Rosel doon nag-raise sila. Sinend nila sa FACC, Josie. They raised $220 for Rosel specifically. So,
Wow.
Ito yung association, United Federation of Filipino American Educators sa Arizona. That's very good, no? And alam niyo ba yung ating featured na designer na si Chona Bacauco? She's bringing a lot of talents from Italy and all over the United States. Yung iba sa kanila, Emmyrich, mga cancer survivors. Yung iba bulag, yung iba amputated. But you know what?
Absolutely.
We can see the strength at saka yung magiging inspirasyon to para sa ating lahat that, you know, despite of challenges and adversities, nandyan yung mga cancer survivors and they are willing to support the Filipino American Cancer Care.
And we
Tapos,
couldn't really thank enough Chona for doing this for us. And they're flying in from Italy to here and to showcase and to help us fundraise for our beneficiaries. This is really for the good of the cancer care patients that we're supporting here in the U.S. and in the Philippines.
Is this your first time, Emmyrich, na magrampa?
I can say no, right? I can say no.
Basta may deal ako sa'yo, rarampa ka. Basta may deal ako sa'yo.
Hindi mo, Emmyrich, kasi si Josie kailangan ding rumampa.
Nagpagawa na ako ng damit sa kanya. Nagpapagawa ka?
Magi rin magrarampa.
Si Ed din magrarampa.
Hindi, akala ko, escortan ko lang kayong lahat.
Ay, hindi.
No.
So may mga cancer survivors tayo, no? Cancer patients na rarampa sila. And not only that, may mga bata tayo nararampa rin from 7 years old up at yung mga teenagers. This is going to be a night of elegance, a family night na talagang we are all going to be inspired. Siyempre may mga inimbita tayo dito ng mga ambassadors like yung ating Philippine ambassador to the United States, si Ambassador Jose Babe Romualdez. And who else, Ed?
Yeah, we invited the Italian ambassador to the U.S., the German ambassador. So we're waiting for their confirmation. And then, of course, I also added the ambassador of Zimbabwe to the United States as well because he's very excited of how we actually including Zimbabwe in our advocacy. And, you know, Wadse is really one of the pioneers. She started the young young ambassador against cancer in Zimbabwe. So we will definitely launch. Josie, I can't believe it's coming. Next year is 2022. That was our promise in our strategic plan. We're gonna be executing our, our program in collaboration, and I think we did. We are now collaborating with multiple organizations. And Josie, you know, when Barry mentioned about our future plan, I'm not gonna spill the story, but I can't wait for that as well. That we will be able to do more programs, more educational awareness, that we're gonna reach out to the universities, and that's why I'm so excited that our young ambassadors, we are galvanizing them to make sure that they're gonna be our voice in the campuses, in the university level, and some of them will join in our couture Courage for a Cure fashion show event.
And that's really what this radio show is all about, is collaboration and connecting and educating, making people aware. And one of the things that we were made aware is the situation in Zimbabwe by the former ambassador, I think, of the U.S. to Zimbabwe, Ambassador Thomas, right? And with the information that Mithi Aquino told us about the situation in Zimbabwe, can you imagine for the whole country, what one hospital for cancer? That's a struggle. It's so
Emmyrich, dapat nasa bucket list mo yan. Puntahan natin.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Di ba?
Yeah.
Talaga namang yung mga tao na yan nangangailangan ng tulong.
And remember, Josie, as part of our pillars, we also have specifically identified international outreach that FACC officers, board of directors, young ambassador will have the opportunity to actually encourage as well. Some are potential or future donors and supporters. They can join our trip international. That's
Absolutely.
why I can't wait this COVID-19 variant Delta. I know sometimes it can be heartbreaking that it's starting to increase again some of the cases, and of
Yeah.
course also kind of at least put that in our strategy of how our event on October. But we're just again focused right now in our preparation, and really want to make sure that we will execute it with proper precaution and following some of the CDC guidelines that we have to wait in during October.
Yeah.
Mhm. And by the way, no, may mga sa mga nanonood ngayon sa atin, kung may mga kailangan po kayo, like for examples, kung isa po kayo, like for example, pasensya ka na, Emmyrich. Mahirap tong may sakit ka, Emmyrich.
I know.
Nawawala ako. 101 pa naman. So anyway, nagbibigay po ng care packages ang Filipino American Cancer Care. So, Emmyrich, kung may mga kilala ka dyan sa Maryland na mga cancer survivors or cancer patients, just give their names sa atin and let us know para mapuntahan natin sila, and we're going to deliver yung mga cancer care packages.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Next week I'll be delivering two. If you guys remember, one of our the driver during the Rebella event, si Mang Pipito po, ang asawa niya ay cancer survivor ng ovarian. So we also gonna deliver one care package for his wife who lives in Sterling, Virginia. At ang isa po na na-meet ko dung nagkikimo po ako ay si Ma'am Mendez na taga Annandale, lung cancer din siya. So I will deliver that next week to her house as well. So talagang busy kami ni Josie, ni Maggie, nagde-deliver. So we just appreciate if you guys can have some leads who really would like to receive the care package. Can you imagine, ako, kakasimula lang natin itong May, Josie and Emmyrich. We started during the Mother's Day, and imagine it's become non-stop. We are delivered as well in Virginia Beach. Si Josie at si Maggie pumunta at nagparticipate sa Fil-Am fest over there. So it's non-stop.
Absolutely. No, our cancer survivors and cancer patients right now, they really need all of the support, and we have to let them know that they're not alone in this journey.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that they're all listening or watching our recorded show or going through Friday and listen to some of the educational discussion that we're having here. Because especially this pandemic season, it's very challenging for a lot of them because they can't go out twice, basically, just to protect themselves from the virus and being healthy as well. And for the caregivers out there and the family members, this is really, being with your family, it's tough, but you have to be safe for everyone, and you have to be cautious and sensitive.
And another event again in October, Jose, I just want to leverage this opportunity. So on October 21st as well, we will co-host with the Philippine Embassy the first ever medical forum of the FACC, where we will feature Dr. Elwin Cabebe as one of the panels.
Dr. Cabebe.
The title of our panel is called Community of Courage,
Mhm.
Medical Milestones of the Philippine-U.S. Relationship or partnership. So we will talk about there where, how the medical history, how the American helped establish the hospitals and medical school in the Philippines, and then how the Filipinos started studying here to become a doctor. The contribution of nurses, they call it Unseen. There's a film that's being developed. We will do a special preview of that movie. It's gonna be showcasing there. And then of course Melissa Tisa will be there doing the moderating as well with our one of our medical with our board of director Rocky, who also helping shaping that event on October 21st. And then Josie, this is an amazing story. We finally connect the first ever Filipina practicing doctor who's the president and CEO of the American Hospital in the United States. Dr. Vicente Gaspario will be joining us well. And tell the story of how her medical practice training in the Philippines through East is that East Ramon?
Chemo brain.
And then how she trained here and became a doctor, and then she studied MBA, and she said, is it really she was a little bit challenged of like accepting the position to become a hospital administration, being a president and CEO of an American hospital.
Yes.
It's a proud accomplishment.
It's a big achievement.
You said she went to University of the East?
Yes, and then went met residency in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow.
Alam mo, interviewin na natin yan dito sa ating programa.
We should.
How did you So I said,
Sige na, tawagan natin si Doc Doc.
Yeah, we should. We should get her in for next month.
Yeah, so there's a lot of big events that we are planning, and I know we're so excited because these people who really have the passion to help the cancer community and give the voice for us to collaborate. It's just an amazing.
Papuntahin na natin dito si Johan. Kasi nga, marami tayong mga models. And then, yung mga entertainers natin, during the fashion show. One of them, si Kay Habana, na isang kilalang soprano doon sa may New York City. And then, we have another one, isang professional singing diva, si Carol Serna. Napanood mo ba, Emmyrich, yung concert ni Maggie nung birthday niya?
No?
Hindi mo na I-check mo na lang sa Facebook, Emmyrich.
Oh yeah, it's recorded.
So nandyan yan. Marami tayong mga guests, no? And this is going to be a good night. Ano, Ed? Anong gusto mong sabihin?
Mga triplets ni Jennifer Hudson.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be
It's a
amazing.
fun night. It's really just an amazing event that we're So, Joseph,
Okay.
can you imagine we're trying to plan a fashion show almost a year ago before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic.
The reality of that vision is coming to fruition. By hook or by crook, we will work on this. I know, without the support of the community.
Ang motto natin sa Filipino American Cancer Care, by hook or by crook, matira ang matibay.
We will go on.
And then, of course, Josie, we will officially announce our next batch of the cancer beneficiaries. So our team is working very hard to review all the applications. Thank you, Eunice, Ma'am Sinaida, June Bustamante. They're really working hard to ensure that the cancer beneficiaries benefiting on the October event will really be given opportunity to thank them for trusting us with their story, their challenges right now, and that's why I think we can just help them a little bit in terms of their journey and being, having at least blessings here that we're receiving comparing to the Philippines right now. Is really they're struggling us a lot.
Yeah. At syempre sa ating mga board of directors, advisors, sa mga officers, baka mamaya pag sinabi ko isa-isa yung pangalan, kulangin tayo ng oras. Ano, Emmyrich?
Yeah. There's so many of us. But there's, you know who you are. We really thank you for all of your
Our
support.
guest is logging in 5 minutes. So just to let you know, he is coming.
Kasi nagda-drive siya yung ating guest. Nagda-drive siya daw eh.
Yes.
Our guest today is going to be Joe Bullock. He is a cancer survivor of colon cancer. So you'll hear more about his bio in a few minutes.
Yeah. Emmyrich, habang inaantay natin siya, why don't we play yung kanta ng ating guest singing artist tonight? Would you like to introduce him?
Yes, absolutely. So we're really excited for this one of our special guests tonight. He is a singer, a music producer, a pianist, and Hot Wheels collector. You can check out his YouTube channel under Brian Magsayo. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brian Balane Magsayo.
When there's a dark storm on your horizon and you think you can't get through it, just put your hand in my hand and I'll show you how to do it. When the future looks uncertain, you can count on me to be there. And when your heart and soul are hurting,
Thank you so much, Brian Magsayo. Kanta ka uli next time, ha? Every week na to, Brian, kung pwede. Ang ganda ng lyrics, ano? Ang
Yeah,
ganda
it
ng
was
kanta.
pretty
Alam mo
good.
ba, Emmyrich, ang title nun? Someone Who Believes in You. Ito yung dapat na kanta ng mga cancer survivor. Gustong-gusto ko yung una niyang line eh. When there's a dark storm on your horizon and you think you cannot get through it, just put your hand in my hand and I will show you how to do it. Oh, ano, Emmyrich?
It's really powerful words. It really powerful.
Okay. By the way, may mga nanonood sa atin ha. Si Adele Ordinario, si Nitz Ginto Anyo. God bless you all, sabi niya. Beautiful people inside and out. God is good all the time. Nagustuhan niya yung kanta ni Brian Magsayo. Okay. Ed, what else do you want to say? Nandiyan na ba yung ating bisita? Wala kang audio, iho. Nakamute ka.
Nakamute ka.
2 minutes pa daw sabi ni Joe. So, iti-system din ang kanyang computer. So, let's, kailangan na kumanta, si.
No!
Hindi. Ito muna ha, habang inaantay natin. Kakanta ka mamaya, Emmyrich. Ano, deal?
Deal.
Magmumodelo ka, tapos
following
ikaw rin
that.
ang kakanta. Ed, give them an update, no? Para sa mga, kasi may mga nanonood sa atin ngayon na, you know, some of them were just recently diagnosed. Yung iba kasi natatakot sa tinatawag na chemotherapy. Yung sa'yo, kanina tinanong kita kung, you know, malalagas ba yung buhok mo. Ilang chemotherapy na ba, Ed, ang na-experience mo sa buhay mula nang ma-diagnose ka ng leukemia?
Nung una lang yung 2015, feel like forever, right? Yun yung malakas. 1 week lang yun, hindi na ako kaya. Doon naglugas na lahat ang buhok ko. And then after nung 2016, ng transplant sa Hopkins naman, doon na naman lumugas ang buhok ko at ng full body radiation.
Mm-hmm. Ano ba yun, Ed? Ilang sessions?
Doon sa 12 yun sa Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
May 12 uli ako, pero ibang type ng chemo siya na hindi na maglulugas yung buhok kasi maintenance chemo yun. So iba-ibang mga chemo program, regimen ang binibigay sa mga type of cancer mo. Kagaya di ba nung isa nating guest noon na si Chris, di ba nag-thin lang ang kanyang buhok.
Yeah.
Sa Dakota. So, ito ine-educate natin ng mga tao kasi, you know, remember I told you I was joking around when I saw my first time my face in 2015. I felt like I'm the Spiegel. I have only one hair sticking up, but that laugh really, it breaks me inside. I didn't want to,
Yeah.
you know, so I can totally relate to those people who just started their journey. Mas lalo na ang image, di ba, mga babae.
Yeah, kasi yung ano nga sabi nila, yung buhok natin, di ba? Ito yung corona
Yeah.
ng ating pagkatao. So nang mawalan ka ng buhok at that time, Ed, anong nasa isip mo?
Yeah, Spiegel ako, sabi ko. Kaya talagang sabi ko, naku. You know, nag-joke lang ako. You know, just to really feel, but it took a little bit longer to accept reality. Di ba sabi ko, I was showing na yung vulnerabilities in sa inyo, sa mga friends. It took me a little bit longer to accept the reality. You know,
I'm just curious, Ed, no? Kasi di ba, are you cancer-free na ba or what? Kasi bakit ka ngayon nagkaroon uli ng isang, ng chemotherapy na 12 sessions pa?
Kasi nga itong, I don't want to say anything political because of the vaccine. I'm saying, ang vaccination kasi natin sa pag-fight ng COVID-19 ay hindi pa talaga na pag-aaral ng gusto sa mga apektado.
Sa mga cancer, victims, sa mga cancer patients.
So, since I'm still struggling sa graft versus host disease, yan ang ibig sabihin na ina-atake yung immune system ko ng ibang donor katawan ko. So, usually, it took me already almost a year and a half na medyo
Mhm.
NED na ako, yung mata ko, yung skin, yung mouth. Nung March, nagpabakuna ako, but at the same time, I knew the risk na walang masyadong study. I used as a guinea pig for the better of humanity, so that other cancer patient can get some data, because there's no data to look at.
That's right.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I was
Okay.
So sorry.
So we're gonna talk again, no, yung journey ni Ed sa next natin na mga programs. We would like to introduce ngayong gabi yung ating special guest. He is a 3B colorectal cancer survivor from Durham, North Carolina. He is an inspiring person who gives back wholeheartedly to the cancer community. He was diagnosed in May 2018 with stage 3B colorectal cancer after a routine colonoscopy at the age of 50. He had symptoms for a few months but had ignored them for several months. Following the deaths of his parents in 2017 within a 6-month period. After a period of grieving, he finally got around to getting a colonoscopy. In February 2019, he became known as NED, no evidence of disease. He always say for cancer survivors, being NED or NED is like a gift you don't know how to unwrap, but you are grateful to have it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joe M. Bullock. Hi, Joe.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My name is Josie, and we have Emmyrich and Ed. Okay. Go ahead.
How are you?
All right. Hey, it's good to see both of you, all of you. Yes,
Yeah, Joe,
definitely.
welcome to
Yeah.
our show.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. It's great
Yeah,
to be
we're
here.
actually talking without posting something on Facebook on Man Up to Cancer.
Right,
We're actually
exactly.
talking today.
We're actually talking to each other. Yeah, we encourage the guys in the group to do that. I don't know if you guys have noticed a lot of meetups are happening
Yeah.
within the group. The guys are meeting up in cancer centers, and that's been the great thing about the group, because it's connected guys that really didn't know they were at the same cancer center. It's been that's been
Absolutely.
very interesting about it. Yes.
Before we talk about the matter of cancer,
Right.
Joe, I want to make sure we focus on you.
Okay. Thank you.
Exactly, Joe.
Okay.
Here's
So-
the thing, I want to start the question. So,
Okay.
Joe, through the Facebook group, you are one of the most kind-hearted person that I saw on the group, and I know you're the partner in crime of Trevor.
Right. Yes.
Just for our listeners, so to get a little bit background before you had that diagnosis of cancer. So, your profession, how big is your family, just to
Yes.
have that context, because we want to make sure we give that opportunity for our listener to get to know you a little bit more.
Yes. Yes. I was actually a pre-K teacher for 20 years. I was a stay-home dad and a pre-K teacher. My wife is an RN actually at the Duke Cancer Center here in Durham, North Carolina. So her schedule is always pretty crazy. So we decided early on that I would come home and kind of take the lead role in the household. And then I was taking my kids actually to this preschool because we wanted them to get some education. And I was dropping my kids off and they were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm staying home right now, take care of the kids. And like, why don't you just come volunteer at the school? And so I started volunteering and reading to the kids, and then slowly ended up gradually just teaching a class, and I stayed there for 20 years. So, it was just sort of like, I enjoyed it. It was great. And it fed a creative need that I had at the time. And I pretty much would take my kids to school and pick them up every day as they grew up. And like I said, my son will be 17. He's 17 this year. He'll be a senior in high school. And my daughter just graduated from college. So I was,
School, right, Joe?
do what?
Is it in Virginia school, right?
Yes, she was at Radford University. Yes, she was at Radford University. That's where she graduated from. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, she graduated. I got one through college. I just got to get the other one through now. So
Yeah. Joe, I just wanted to know, because you had these symptoms for a few months, but you ignored them for several months because of what happened to your parents. What were your symptoms?
I started having some blood in my stool. I started having a lot of fatigue. I was having what you would think of maybe as irritable bowel syndrome off and on. And at the time, I had Dr. Googled, which you're not supposed to do. And basically, a lot of what I was getting back was it could be hemorrhoids, it could be stress. So a lot of those things in my mind, I was thinking, and at the time in my mind, I was thinking colorectal cancer was typically, you kind of thought of it as an older person's disease. You really didn't think of it. I got quickly educated that that's not true. But at the time, in my mind, I thought, and even my doctors at the time, even my general practitioner, his words to me for getting colonoscopy was, well, you're getting older. So this is things you do when you get older. So that was my assumption. And honestly, my dad had prostate cancer. So in my mind, I was thinking prostate cancer. Colon cancer never entered my mind because I had been getting checked. I'd been getting checked since my mid-30s because I found out my dad had had early onset prostate cancer in my mid-30s. And we actually had the same general care practitioner. So I was getting like my DREs and my other checks for prostate early on. So it never really dawned on me that it could be colon cancer until I got the diagnosis.
But in terms of your health, were you proactive?
I was as proactive as most men are, I think, because generally
men are stubborn.
Men are stubborn. We typically think we're okay. We don't like to talk about things that hurt us. And I was your typical male. I mean, I remember, I think I was in my mid-30s. I really didn't have a physical. In high school, you have these sports physicals, stuff like that. And then I didn't really have another physical until really almost my early 30s because I was a fairly healthy guy. I would go to the doctor when I got sick, but never for like a general physical, a yearly physical. And my wife had suggested, we had just had our first child, and she's like, I was having some back pain and stuff. She's like, maybe you just need to go to the doctor and just get an overall physical. And it happened to be that it was my dad's doctor. I didn't realize it. And he came in the room and looked at the chart, and he was looking at my chart, and he goes, well, I noticed that you're Don Bullock's son, but I also noticed you don't have a history of prostate cancer. And I was like, don't know of a history of prostate cancer because my dad never talked about it. He never talked about it. I didn't find out. He refused to treat his cancer, actually. He never treated it. And eventually he succumbed to it later in life, and I ended up being his caregiver the last couple of years of his life.
But this is a good information that you just shared. A lot of parents out there are so afraid to say something to their kids.
Right.
And this is really important.
Right. That's very crucial that the families have these conversations.
Yeah.
Because you really need to know your cancer background. You really do. That's very crucial. Because I remember about a year ago, I was at a family reunion, and some family members found out I had colon cancer, and several of the family members came to me and said, oh, yeah, my aunt had colon cancer, or my sister had colon cancer, or your cousin did, and I never knew that even was a part of our family. So I think that's why it's good to have those health conversations in your families.
Yeah. So how did you feel when you received the news?
I was pretty shell-shocked. I mean, my wife and I knew something was going on, but my hope that it was the hemorrhoids, my hope that it was just an irritable bowel thing, that it wasn't, because my symptoms weren't that bad. Like even with the blood in my stool, I thought, well, maybe it wasn't that much. It was like maybe I had strawberries that week, or maybe it wasn't like I was thinking. It wasn't until much later, it was probably 6 or 7 months, right before I had the colonoscopy, that the blood had gotten really worse, and we knew something was very wrong. And when I went for the colonoscopy, they either give you two options. You can either be given like this twilight medicine that kind of makes you sleepy, or you can go totally under. Yeah. And I had surgery in my 20s. And when I did have surgery in my 20s, I was put totally under with anesthesia. And I had a hard time coming out of the anesthesia.
Oh.
So I had a little fear about being put.
You were traumatized with the anesthesia.
20s. So I told my GI doctor, I said, well, I'd rather do twilight. And actually, I was pretty tired when I got there for the colonoscopy that day. I was pretty wore out from the prep because those of us that have done colonoscopies know what the prep is like. And I had been up all night with that prep. And I actually fell asleep during the colonoscopy. woke up about 10 minutes into it, and I looked over to the left. I could see the screen because he has the camera, and he's looking through, and I had seen enough Google images to know what a tumor looked like in your colon.
Oh,
And
wow.
I looked up at the screen and I pointed to it and I said, "Am I looking at me?" Because I was really sleepy, so I thought I was looking at my computer screen, and that wasn't actually my colon he was actually in.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I said, "What is that?" And he goes, "It's a tumor. We're going to talk about it in a minute." He was
How
really
big was the tumor?
It was around 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters. It was kind of an oblong tumor.
Mm-hmm.
So things were getting around it actually. So that's why I wasn't have some of the issues that a lot of people have with the colon, getting colon cancer, or some of the symptoms, because things were happening the way it should happen. And so he calmed me down and got me back into the room, and we sat with my wife, and I was pretty shell shocked. So I was
So what was in your mind when he told you that you have a colon cancer?
I just felt like my world had caved in. Like I knew that everything we had planned, I felt like I had ruined pretty much our moment, our life, because I knew everything was going to focus on me. I knew we were going to be looking at surgery. I knew that, he was pretty certain that it was stage 3B. Like they don't really know staging really until they actually have surgery and they can get in there and really see what's going on. But he was pretty certain the way it was my tumor was pushed up against the muscle of my colon, that he was pretty sure that I was probably looking at stage 2 or stage 3. But he couldn't determine anything until he saw the lymph nodes. And during the surgery, the surgeon removed 40 lymph nodes. 3 of those lymph nodes turned out to be cancerous. So that put me at stage 3B, because staging is based on your lymph node, how the lymph nodes are impacted with cancer. So that put me at stage 3B. So they were able to do, luckily for me, they were able to do a reconnection of my colon, so I didn't need a bag. And basically, I ended up doing 6 months of chemotherapy, which consists of oxaliplatin and Zanola, which is two very common chemotherapies they use for colon cancer. And then, so after that 6 months, so I was probably in treatment for about 8 to 10 months between surgery and chemotherapy. And then in February 2019, after that last set of scans after chemo, the set of scans I had after chemo, I got that no evidence of disease.
But Joe, what was it like starting and experiencing a chemo?
It was tough. It was like, it really does take you to a dark place. I was never a depressed person. I was a pre-K teacher, so to be a pre-K teacher, you have to be up and excited and be excited to be around the kids and
you have to be
singing
happy
songs and happy, and all of a sudden, even my students noticed. They were like, "Something's wrong with Mr. Joe." Like I was just like this dark cloud had come over me, and all of a sudden, I was going through depression. I didn't realize that's what it was until my oncologist noticed me probably after my second run of chemo, my second infusion of chemo, my second round, I guess, of chemo. And he noticed, "Something's wrong with you. You're not yourself. I've known you for 5 months. You're always happy, even through all of this." And in my mind, I started questioning a lot of things. Am I going to have a reoccurrence? Is the cancer going to come back? Is the chemo really doing what it's supposed to do? And no one really tells you that the need for therapy or counseling, like they don't, that's just something that's really starting to come out, I think. I almost think like they need to like give you an oncologist and a therapist on the same day. like it just should be automatic, because it does take you to a dark place. You're just sad and depressed. And I ended up, my wife and I actually sat down with a therapist, because my wife is an RN. So she can handle the clinical side of my cancer. Right. But it was the emotional side she could not handle. She was like, she said, "I need you to do this for me. I need you to go to a therapist."
Yeah. And you're only human, you feel that depression, anxiety, and everything, because you never experienced that.
And Joe, that feeling of depression, that's because of the medication.
Right. It was because of medication, and that's what my therapist and I talked through. I didn't really need anti anxiety meds or anything. We decided, she's like, "I think you just need to talk things through." And so I met with her for about 3 months, and then till I was done with chemo, because we knew it was chemo. And then, although when I got the NED, I did go to a support group that she was actually my therapist-led a support group at the cancer center. So I was going to that about once a month. We met once a month as a group. And I remember it was right around the time I had got NED, and she pulled me aside after one of the meetings, and she said, I know you're excited about the NED, or I'm excited for you. I didn't feel that excited about getting NED, but she's like, but I want you to call me in 2 months. That depression's going to hit you again. And it did. It did. Like it was all those, because all of it started rushing back to me. Like, okay, it was almost like I was mourning my cancer. It was like I was no longer in treatment. So I was feeling like, well, at least when I was in treatment, I was doing something about it. So now I feel like I'm just waiting around for the cancer to come back. So all those things were kind of rushing in.
We talk about the survivor guilt.
Right.
What is this? So it was
right. It was really hitting me. It was really hitting me. So I ended up doing some more sessions, and then I was fine. But it just took time to talk it through.
And where did you find your support group?
It was at Duke Cancer Center. Was my local support group was at the Cancer Center. I was very lucky that Duke does have that, and I think a lot of the national cancer centers have those. You know, they do. A lot of them do have those support groups locally.
Joe, how did you connect with Trevor? And how did Man Up Cancer link up? And because I was telling you guys, I wish you guys exist 2015.
I wish we existed in 2018 when I was in treatment.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so what happened was, it's interesting. There was actually a gentleman named Charles Griffin Jr., who was a football player. He was diagnosed at age 32, African-American football player. I think he played for Baltimore or someone. But he was on another podcast called, his friend of ours, Lee Silverstein, has a podcast called We Have Cancer. And he was a guest on that podcast. And I listened to the podcast. I just happened to run across it, Googling something, and found Lee's podcast. And after the podcast, I contacted him, and he told me about a group called Colintown, which is another advocacy group, colintown.org. And he encouraged me. At the time, I didn't know that he himself was stage 4 and was in the midst of a fight. And he just encouraged me through Messenger. He messaged me back. We messaged back and forth. And he said, you are stage 3. Your cancer is totally curable. But he encouraged me, when you get through this, on the other side of it, we need more men to stand up and talk about their cancer.
That's
men
right.
don't talk about these things. Men tend to not talk about what hurts them. They tend to try to handle everything on their own. If you notice, if you go into a lot of the support groups, they're weighing at like 30% men and like 70% women. And in a lot of the support groups, the women are in there as caregivers. The men won't join the groups. You know, the women are in there trying to find supports for their husbands or their partners.
Okay, we have 5 minutes left on our radio show.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, what did you learn throughout this process?
Well, actually, what I learned, I know more about cancer now than I did when I was in treatment. I know that. Trevor really helped me become an advocate, because early on, towards the end of 2019, I was trying to decide where I was going, because I was pretty much done with cancer. Initially, I had some follow-ups for about 4 years I needed to do, because you do that for about 5 years after your NED. But I knew I wanted to become more involved in advocacy. And Trevor did something that no one else had done. He called me and he said, I need your help. And that's how the Howling Place group started, because he said, we're gonna start this group. We started on January 1st, 2020. He greenlit it. I had actually been friend requesting men since I was diagnosed, just to message back and forth with men about what it's like to be a cancer patient, what's it like to go through as a dad and a husband. And so when Trevor greenlighted the group, basically I just invited all those 400 men to the group. And we ended up having like 300 join the first month. And it just really grew. So I had learned really through that how to just support another person going through cancer. And even now, like, we have 1,100 men, and there's no way I can support 1,100 men, but I can support 5 or 6 men.
Yeah.
And I do that. I reach out to them. I was talking to a couple on the phone the last couple of days as they're just finding out about their diagnosis, and they're just learning about their treatments and how to go through it. So I'm able to support them in that way. So I've learned to be a stronger advocate on the other side of
Yeah.
cancer.
And you know what? Cancer advocacy, like what you are doing right now and what we are doing here from the
Right,
Filipino
exactly.
American Cancer Care is the best way to prevent cancer and to save lives.
Exactly. It's that peer-to-peer conversation that I think makes the most support to others, and definitely what you're saying, definitely.
Okay, Emmyrich, last question. We have 4 minutes.
My last question for you, Joe, is just, what can you say to our caregivers out there? Because you had both sides to
Right, I
for your
did.
dad, and then you become survivor or going through the journey. What can you tell about them?
I think make sure you take care of yourself. A lot of caregivers don't take time to themselves. They feel guilty. They feel that guilt. I mean, they're learning all that we're learning. They're learning, what we go through with the disease, and they're learning about our treatments. They're dealing with all that. They're dealing with the doctors. But I've talked to a lot of caregivers, and they just feel guilty to take care of themselves, to take 5 minutes to get a cup of tea and just go sit in the corner and kind of breathe a little bit. I think just self-care for a caregiver, I think, is extremely important. And I think as patients, we have to learn to put the care back into caregivers. I think that's what I've had to learn with my wife. Her telling me this is what I need you to do, and listening to her and actually going to therapy. I honestly didn't want to go to therapy, but I could tell that's what she wanted me to do. This is what I need you to do. And so I think we need to listen to our caregivers, but also they need to take time to have self-care. I think that's extremely important.
That's really great. Thank you.
We would love to have you again because you know what? You're a good speaker, you're a good motivator, and we learned a lot from you.
I would love to be back. I
just
definitely
want to-
would. I'm sorry I was late.
I get this 2 minutes. So Joe, I know if it's possible to give honor to those brothers on the Halloween place, and of course the Jaden. If you don't
Jaden.
mind, at least
Jaden was really my first person I really ever advocated for. Honestly, I met his grandmother through Colintown. When we started the Howling Place group, we just simply decided, let's just do a card of encouragement drive. Let's just get him some cards. And
how old is Jaden, just for our listeners, so that they know that Colin is not for older people. So how old is he?
right. Jaden was 13 years old. He was diagnosed at 11, and he passed away at 13 about a week ago. So, and I'm working with about 13 families who have children from ages 10 to 18 that all have stage 4 colorectal cancer. And theirs is definitely more genetic based. It's caused through genetic mutations. A lot of adult cancer patients, it's more environmental when you're older. But for these kids, it's definitely mutations. There's not enough research. It's less than like 1% of all colon cancers. It really, we're working on pushing more advocacy to get more research done for these children. That's very important. I actually started a group called Colintown Junior in Colintown. For that purpose, to give these families a place to connect, much like the Howling Place for Men. Colintown Junior is a place for these families to connect and support one another, because they really didn't know. A lot of these families didn't know where to get help, because there's very little conversation about this type of pediatric cancer in children when it comes to colon cancer. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joe, and best regards to you and your family. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga followers and supporters dito sa On the Air with FACC. Thank you so much again,
Thank you very
everyone.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.
for joining.
See you
Thank
again
so much.
next
It was great.
Friday.
See you next Friday.
Thank you.